Hey guys, it's Danny. Today it is repot time once again, and if you feel like you want to repot something too, this is your opportunity. Let's just repot something together and just talk, tell some stories, you know the drill. Let's make it a chill experience while hopefully I'm still gonna give you some good advice, good orchid advice. Right, so today we will actually repot. I cannot believe how light this is. Oh my gosh, I watered it 3 days ago. So this is Cattleya. Oh, it's a Cattleya hybrid. We don't know what it is. It's one of the Cattleya seedlings. She's not the only one in this condition, but I'm just gonna start somewhere. I need to repot my Cattleya seedlings. I have potted them in here 2 years ago. Not only is it time to repot, but also these guys are seriously outgrowing their pot and they're getting incredibly dehydrated. As I was saying, I watered them 3 days ago, or max 4 this week anyway. Today is Friday, so I watered them this week, maybe Monday, Tuesday, and it's already like this. It's horrible. It needs a repot. And if you ever have an orchid, maybe not a seedling, whatever orchid you might have ends up like this in a few days, dehydrated and just miserable and hating its life, that is your cue to repot. And not only repot, but go up in pot. Not one size, but whatever size you feel like, pretty much. You can go one size up if, you feel comfortable with that, but for something like this, it's time for a standard pot. So I'm gonna use a 12 centimeter pot here in the EU. This is what orchids come into. I always save these pots and I drill some holes with a soldering iron, and the pots are good to go. Except for when they're in sun. These are not UV protected, they will go brittle instantly. They're not the highest quality, but then again, for house conditions, they're great. Right, so if you don't remember, a few years ago, I purchased some Cattleya seedlings. They're all doing great. Some of them didn't make it. I think 2 or 3 of them didn't make it, which happens with seedlings, but everybody else is great, outgrowing their pots. So they absolutely need a repot, and today we're gonna start with this one. Now, these roots here, this one is not alive anymore. You can see it's completely desiccated. That is one of the dangers of letting an orchid get like this. The smaller the pot, the bigger the orchid, the faster it's gonna dry, and if you cannot keep up with watering, you will risk actually setting back the orchid, losing some roots. These ones, you might not even notice, they're desiccated and then dead, and when you water, they will start going mushy, and all of a sudden you're gonna be like, oh no, root rot, I overwatered. So you might be tempted to water even less, which is a bad idea. So yeah, dehydration is not something that will necessarily kill your orchid. You usually see it in time, but it's definitely something that will stress your orchid out and potentially cause it to lose some roots. So it's best to repot, even if your orchid has been in this pot for a year, 6 months, whatever the case might be. If you just used a smaller pot when you repot it, it is definitely a time to repot when your orchid looks like this in just a few days. Given we did have some high temperatures lately and it was quite dry in this room, so that didn't help. But hey, the seasons are what they are. I cannot control them, but I can preemptively have some contingency plans, right? Right, so what I'm gonna do now is just push a little bit on the pot. You might be able to hear the moss, it's very dry, and just pull it out. And here we are. My orchid is quite full of roots, but I do have quite a lot of green root tips. I'm highly tempted to just up-pot this orchid. What should I do? I will definitely remove the bark from the top as much as I can, because this bark is not very high quality, the one that I use, but it's one that I find locally, so it saves me some money and time. So I will kind of just try to remove as much of the bark as possible from the top, and the sphagnum moss I might just keep. I feel like this is a very vigorous orchid that will outgrow this pot at some point as well. I feel like I will do another repot in about a year to 2. And the moss is in tip-top condition because this orchid was never kept soggy. They're Cattleyas, they can withstand drought, so I let them rather dry to preserve the life of the medium. And this moss is amazingly good. I have Phalaenopsis orchids for 4 years planted in a mixture of moss and bark. The bark is horrible, it's done, it needs throwing away. The moss is still okay. And the roots are good, so the moss didn't get way too acidic. It's good to be slightly acidic, but not too acidic. Right, so I'm feeling adventurous today. And if we have time, maybe we're gonna repot another one. I'm feeling a little adventurous today and I'm gonna up pot this seedling. Even though I always say never up pot. There are some special cases and seedlings are one of them. I seriously do not wanna set back the seedling because it is not yet as vigorous as a mature orchid would be. And I fear that if I set it back way too much by trying to remove all of this moss, which is still good, I'm gonna set it back even more, and having seedlings being set back for years and years and years is not something I wanna go through again, because I did go through something like that many times in the past, and I just don't wanna do it. So I will YOLO it this time and I'll pot it. Meaning I will not remove this quote-unquote plug of sphagnum moss, and I will just add more medium around the orchid. I will be using a combination of bark and moss, and even if the moss will be, let's say, slightly wetter in the middle, it's fine. In my environment, it's fine. I have a pretty dry and pretty warm environment. Look at this. It's dry, you guys. Luckily, Cattleyas are acquainted with dry weather, so they're perfectly fine with it. And yeah, I will just up pot it. So I will try to place the orchid in the pot something like this. It is very clear and evident that this orchid has a well-defined direction of growth. Here is the old growth. Nothing will grow from here, or maybe it will grow from this cane, but from like way here, way all the back, what the heck? All the way back here, nothing will grow. English, come to me. Where have you gone? Right. So I will try to place it on one side of the pot just to allow more time for the new growth to take over or to reside in the same pot. And you know what? Looking at it now, I feel like within a year and a half or so, this orchid will take over this pot as well. So I will be okay with my decision. I'm sure I'm not gonna regret it. Right, so let's do this. Oh no, I have to open a new bag of moss. Let's see if I can get away without wetting it, because this brick is actually not compressed way too much. It's not like that very thin brick of moss. It's still a good idea to wet it, but I kind of don't want to wet it. I kind of like to work with it dry. So what I'm gonna, I'm just going to rip some moss out of this brick. I'm gonna put it in a different container and I'm gonna use it dry, which is my new thing lately. I discovered I like it. Better than wet moss. Perfect. I absolutely do not need to wet this moss. So it's a little bit more all over the place and untidy, yes, but hey, it's time to vacuum anyway. Right, so I'm gonna start with some moss at the bottom. I always do that because the moss at the bottom wicks up any excess water that falls into the decorative pot. And that is what I want. And if the moss is dry, we can see I cannot compress it at all. I cannot make it too tight, which is great. Put the orchid to one side, easy peasy. Then, actually I said I wanted to do a mixture, right? Yes, there we go. Then I'm gonna put some bark around. Even on this side. Am I in frame? Oh gosh, I hope I was in frame. There we go. And just do the usual mixture bark and moss. Now, I'm going for a moss and bark mixture because I'm conserving sphagnum moss and it's always good to be economical with things. And in this combination, even though, I would love to put only moss here, this combination actually works almost as good. So if I can conserve the sphagnum moss in any way, I will. And the bark, as I was saying, it's one of the downsides. The bark I find locally, it's not the greatest of quality because it's a bark that is meant for reptiles and it's not meant to be kept with the reptiles for years upon years, right? So it kind of degrades pretty fast. However, it makes the most sense financially and because I find it locally, don't have to order it, pay shipping and all of those things. It is the only pure bark that I can find. Whatever orchid mixes are available for sale here, they have cocoa peat or even peat moss. Some of them have straight up peat moss. So they're not ideal. Definitely I would not use them. It is the only viable option that I have, and it actually works quite well. But it is not the best of barks. I don't know if I should say best quality. It is good quality. It's just not intended to last for as many years as I keep it in pots. That's the only problem with it. Right, so this is the second to last layer of medium that I have in this pot, and here is where I'm going to use my slow release fertilizer. For the seedlings, I did not use slow release fertilizer. I just relied on my water soluble MS2 fertilizer, but now they are actually big enough to benefit from the slow release fertilizer. So I'm just going to add a few beads, like a little pinch of slow release fertilizer, 2 pinches, let's say. I never actually measure anything. I kind of go with my feeling, and especially with orchids that I find very, very vigorous and that grow very fast, I sometimes put 2 pinches. And with some orchids that have slower growth, or I feel like they're not as vigorous and they will take a while, to grow, I put only just 1 pinch. It's a feeling. And if you know, stay there. If you know me, I've never actually measured stuff. I went with my gut feeling. I'm that type of plant grower, which doesn't necessarily make it for a very educational experience. It's hard to convey like how I feel about something, or like the vibes that I get and why I do certain things, but I do try my best. And sometimes I tend to over-explain things, which I know I do. But as I was saying, because I'm trying to translate into words the gut feelings that I get, I want to make sure that you understand. So I kind of maybe sometimes over-explain things. And for that, I truly apologize, but I cannot otherwise. And it is what it is. We're going to have to just take it or leave it, because I cannot otherwise. It's been 12 years. If I would have been able to do it otherwise, I would have by now. And we are good to go. I'm gonna actually go downstairs to give it a good water, and we'll see if I have another orchid that I can repot since we're here. Because this was fast, right? Also, my favorite tool, the bamboo skewer, to make the bark go in the places where I want it to go. We need more bark. At this point, we're gonna just add it wherever and try to make it go to the bottom. Yes, we are good. You know what also I want to do? I want to stake this growth, because it's just going to take less space in the shelf, and that's always nice, having more space. And also it's not going to get tangled with other orchids and other growths. So I'm going to use this, just put it here, and then, where is it? I have a little box of stakes. There we are. It's very flexible now, the rhizome. And there we have it. My orchid is all potted. So I'm gonna give it a good water, and I will come back. Maybe with another orchid, maybe not, we'll see. Let me just write the date of repot. What is it? Still March? Still March. I'm very curious what this orchid will end up being. She was so cheap. She was like €4 because she doesn't have an ID. We don't know what it is. It's a Cattleya hybrid. I'm hoping it's one that I don't already have at this point. I do have quite a few orchids, and I'm hoping it's not one that I have. And if it is, I hope it's one that I haven't, it doesn't do good. Right, I'll be right back. All right, let's do one more. This is another seedling. This one has a name. It's the Cattleya Bellona Saint Queen 1914, which is a cross of Cattleya Dowiana cross Maggie Raphael. Interesting. Look at this one. Definitely needs a repot, in the same state of dehydration as the previous one. So we're gonna actually go about it in the same way. Look at that. Lots of roots here. They actually did very, very well. But oh my goodness, look how dehydrated it is. And it's growing this new growth. It needs water and nutrients at this point. Look how big it grew. Very nice. I seriously do not want to set this orchid back, so I'm gonna up pot it. It is one of those special cases that doesn't happen too often, but with seedlings, oh man, I don't want to wait 10 years of my life to see them in bloom, which is, you know, a little dramatic, but it's not uncommon. Sorry, well, 10 years is a little much, but 5, definitely not uncommon if you set seedlings back, so let's not do that. I'm again going to remove the bark from the top because it does not look so good. I also have a few dried roots at the top, but at the bottom, they're in good condition, just one dried root here. So we're good to go. At the end of this video, if you stick around, I'm going to show you 2 more orchids that are in bloom now. Well, actually, I'm going to show you the anosmum that fully opened, so you can see how beautiful it is. And also, I have a bulbophyllum in bloom, which is very exciting. It wasn't in bloom when I did that video this week, but now it is, and we didn't see it in a long time, so I want to show it to you. Stick around to the end. And in the meantime, besides the point, but let me tell you, some of you might know, I enjoy my movies a lot, and over the years I kind of recommended some that I watched. I recommended them to you, and then, you know, I figured, who's interested? I didn't really talk about it, but with this one I gotta talk about it because it has just become my #1 favorite series of all times. Now, my #1 favorite series of all times was Lost, and nothing could have changed it, not even the horrible ending. Which, rewatching it, not that horrible anymore. But I remember at the time I was like, what? Apart from the ending, Lost was the perfect movie for me or series, because I like series that develop characters or that have an interesting character plot and are mysterious and so on. I'm into mysterious type of movies. I'm not into dramas. I haven't, or drama in the sense of like, real life drama, not even movies of the sorts. I have too much drama in my life going on. I want to immerse myself into something sci-fi or fantastic or just a psychological thing that pulls me out of my reality, right? Anyway, long story short, for the longest time, Lost was my favorite series of all times, and I would rewatch it anytime, anywhere. However, recently, there is another series that I dare say, I do believe it's the best series I have ever seen. I would go as far as to say it's the best series ever made, but I'm not, because, you know, it's just my taste. But it is one of the best for sure, and it is my absolute favorite of all time. I have the soundtrack on my phone now. I have the wallpaper, which I'm going to show you is the cutest wallpaper ever. And that is Severance. Yes, Severance is, in my opinion, the best thing I have ever witnessed. It's the best thing of life. The best thing of life. And I'm not gonna give you spoilers because I don't even know where to start. I don't even know how to explain what Severance is if you've never seen it. It's on Apple TV. You don't need an Apple device to watch it. It's just an app like Netflix. So if you have Apple TV and you've heard about it, I'm sure, because it's kind of picking up traction finally. Yeah, don't give it a second thought. Watch it. I'm not gonna tell you anything about it because I want you to be just as like shocked as I was. Because we started to watch it without knowing anything about it, anything. We just like, okay, Severance. Oh, the synopsis sounds good, which you can read everywhere, but it absolutely does not prepare you for what Severance is and how many emotions you're gonna go through. And like, I think about it at night, let's put it like that, which a series didn't do for me in a million years. So yeah, not to mention, I absolutely love when series have impeccable acting, and this movie has impeccable acting. Oh my gosh, everybody is amazing. I love all of the characters, even the so-called, like, you know, anti-heroes or whatever you always have, right? Heroes and anti-heroes. I love them all. I like smile all the way through if I'm not crying. Or I'm not just wondering what the heck is even going on. But Severance is the best movie of all times, and I cannot wait for season 3. Hopefully it continues. It ended on a good note, season 2. I'm a fan, and I just have to tell you that you gotta watch Severance. You absolutely gotta. I'm absolutely obsessed with the theme song, with everything that is, you know, Lumon Industries, everything. I am just obsessed and such a huge fangirl. Anyway, so one blab to another. We're almost done with this orchid as well. Time to add some slow release fertilizer. And there we go. Again, we're gonna do kind of 2 pinches because this is an orchid which, yes, grows a little slower. It has the Dowiana parent, which grows 1 pseudobulb per year. Somebody's calling me, and this is the song. Oh, I hope this video will not get hit with copyright. Oh, don't get hit with copyright. Hold on. Alrighty, while the video will upload or process, YouTube will tell me if I'm hit with copyright or something. If you don't hear anything or what I just said doesn't make sense, my phone just rang and it's of course the Severance theme song. So a little part of the video might be missing. Where was I? Right, so I'm adding slow release fertilizer, and I was saying the Dowiana parent in this hybrid grows only 1 growth per year. So I'm not sure if this orchid will actually be as fast growing as the other one, but there is a second parent here, which is a hybrid. And if that one passes on a gene which is making this orchid grow faster or more than 1 pseudobulb per year, then we're great. I love these types of orchids. So we're just gonna assume, because she has been so vigorous up until now, we're just gonna assume that she's gonna need a little bit more fertilizer and a little bit more space, and maybe she's gonna grow more than 1 pseudobulb per year, or at least branch out more readily than the Dowiana. Right, so same story. We're just gonna add the top layer of sphagnum moss, and this pseudobulb, it can be a little tidier. So we're gonna again stake it with a bamboo skewer like so, and we're gonna get 1 more clip. And P.S. pseudobulbs which are already mature, it's okay to clip them like this because they're already hardened off. Something like this, I wouldn't use necessarily a clip because it's kind of fresh and brittle here. So if I would want to train a little bit this growth, what I would do is just lean it against a skewer like this. I might as well do it. Maybe lean it like this and just let it be like this. There's no wind in my grow space. I don't jiggle my orchids around, so it's not necessarily going to fall off of this stake. Until the pseudobulb hardens off, in this position, I'm just going to lean it on the stake without actually catching it with anything. You can use some sort of soft ties or things of the sorts. That's okay, but if you just don't feel like it, which I just don't right now, you can just lean it like that. And actually, I'm gonna leave it like this because it's a nice shape, nice and tidy. We like nice and tidy things here in the grow room because it makes for an easier experience when I remove the orchids from their shelves. Righty, I'm gonna go water this orchid as well. Let's write the date as well, March 25. And we'll come back with the outro. And here we are, my orchid is potted and watered. And if you stuck around till the end as promised, I'm gonna show you 2 more orchids that I did not show you in my previous video. This is the Bulbophyllum Mastercianum, which I have for at least 4 years or so, might be more. Or the tag dating started in 2021 and this one says 2021, so it might be before that. And it took a while for me to recoup it. It was severely set back at some point, but he's recouped now and he's starting to hopefully bloom a little bit more consistently. We had a bloom last year, I think, from here as well. This year we have a bloom here. Hopefully this direction of growth will make a flower as well. I didn't even check for flower spikes. This one I kind of just saw, but he is lovely, absolutely adorable. Doesn't smell nice, but it's not powerful. It's not like very bad. It smells kind of like a salad that's been sitting in the fridge and going mushy for a while. That's kind of what it smells like vegetation that is not fresh. Not fresh vegetation, pretty much, but he is absolutely beautiful. And I think some of you might know you can go much worse with bulbophyllums and their fragrances. So rather than having roadkill smell in my grow room, pretty much, I would much rather have spoiled lettuce. I said salad, right? Salad in the fridge. No, what I meant is lettuce. In Romanian, the word for lettuce is literally salad, pretty much. It's the same word as like the salad. So yeah, spoiled lettuce. That's the beautiful fragrance of this bulbophyllum. And when I say beautiful, I mean it. It could be much worse. And also, let me show you, I'll bring him. Let me show you the anosmum, a touch of class. This guy smells nice. This one smells like raspberry jellies. and he's fully open. Look at him. Look how beautiful. He needs a repot. He's in a tiny pot. We're gonna repot him after the blooms are done. But look at these glorious, glorious blooms. They're fully open. They're super fragrant. And he is incredibly classy with his unique stripes, white stripes on the flowers. And he smells so nice, so very nice. I really like him. He's very healthy as well. Just needs a bigger pot. But yeah, so with that said, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today and hearing me blab about stuff in Severance. And yeah, go watch Severance if you didn't. You're welcome. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. But obviously, if you're into like mysterious type of movies, there's nothing with aliens in it. I hope. I actually don't know if aliens are involved. You never know what's happening in this movie, kinda. But it's not like with alien ships, I think. Not that type. Don't expect Star Wars, but it's definitely mind-bending, absolutely mind-bending. And if you like that type of stuff, you will agree with me at some point that it's the best series ever made. Right, so with that said, enough about my blabbing. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me today, as I was saying, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!